All right, I definitely want to welcome you to the Rise of the 1% podcast, where you're going to discover the strategies, the tools, the insights to dominate and get to the top 1% of your industry. I am G Bass alongside me, JC Williams.
Yes, sir. What's good, G?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing awesome, man. I'm excited for what we about to bring you guys tonight. This is something that G told me probably a couple months back, and we was talking about YouTube advertisement. And one of the things about it, he mentioned this guy that we got on here. He was like, man, he's the man when it comes down to it. So we already had put in plans. So I'm happy that we was able to put this in action and give to everyone out there now. So I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will share as well is for any information as well in terms of the Rise of the 1%, we'll talk about it more at the end of the podcast as well. Any information in terms of our online training academy, it's at theriseof1%.com, and we also teach the different simplified marketing strategies to scale your business online. But today, we have a special guest on the Rise of 1% podcast. We have Mr. Tommie Powers, right? Tommie actually is an investor and digital advertising growth hacker with over 13 years experience. Since 2007, he spent and consulted on over $100 million in digital advertising that has resulted in over $500 million in revenue. He's also a husband, father of 3. Tommie is an elite class advertising minds as it relates to video, and his company has become one of the most sought after firms in the field. So today we have on the Rise of the 1% podcast, Mr. Tommie Traffic Powers. Let's give it up.
Yes. Y'all ought to have that little thing where you hit the button and it sounds like people clapping. That'll be, you know what I'm saying, making them noises.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Excited to be here. Excited to be rapping with y'all brothers, man.
Absolutely. Same here. So yeah, Tommie, we're going to dive straight in. So if you can, just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit more about your business and your journey thus far.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, media buy by trade, in terms of like digital media, buying ads. I think you mentioned 2007 and now just transitioning into, a real entrepreneur, what I call it, right? Like somebody who actually employ people and create opportunities for other people, and a legitimate investor, like somebody who actually write a check and then put it in somebody else and, believe in other people and that kind of thing. And that's kind of where I'm trying to transition to at this point is I got a lot of sauce when it comes to the skills, and now I'm just trying to like legacy, how do I convert that into business and then build that, use that to then create wealth, and legacy long term, so in a nutshell, that's pretty much who I am. My story is a long and winding one, so I'm having as little or as much of that as y'all want to talk about, because the story is crazy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Tommie, you started off in affiliate marketing, right?
Yup. That's how I got in the game. So I was doing affiliate marketing, and I was doing all these different things to get traffic. At the time, I didn't know that's what it was called. I just knew that if I got to get people to go through my links, and then if they go buy something, I get paid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And somebody was like, I was on a forum, and dude was like, man, why don't you just sign up for Google? Just get a Google account. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what that mean? And he was like, you get a Google. So he explained to me AdWords at the time. And I'm like, yeah, let me look into that. So I looked into that, and I ended up buying this ebook. I think the name of it was Google Cash or something like that. And, I read up on it, and it was just basically teaching you how to place these little ads on Google search engine. When people search, your ad pop right there. When people click on it, you can send them through your link. I was like, okay. So I created a Google account. And, that's when I kind of got to doing that a little bit. And I was like, a lot of other people were doing that at the time. It was like a thing. You know how it is. Somebody probably had milked it and then sold you a course on how to do it. And
right.
Like, man, all these people doing this. But then there was this thing called the content network. So instead of placing your ads on Google search, you can Google let you put ads on other people's websites. So they call it Google Display Network now, but back then they called it Content Network. And so I'm asking around in the forum, Warrior Forum, these different forums and stuff. And everybody was like, "Oh no, don't do that, man. You're gonna lose your shirt. Don't do that." And I was like, Google is a publicly traded company by now. And I'm like, why would they have a trash product? Right. So my thought process is two things happening. Either they getting the bread and don't want me in on it, or they ain't figured it out. And both of those answers led me to, I need to go do that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's what I started doing, and that's how I ended up making affiliate and Google advertising work, and it kind of took off. And yeah, man, I started doing that. I did that for almost 2 years, had a really good run on that, and then Google shut my account down. That was like 2010. They shut me down. And overnight, I went from, I think the previous month I had maybe did like 45,000, but I think my best month was like 55 or 57,000. And I was probably spending somewhere around half of that. But, to go from making, I don't know, I think my best job was like 60 grand a year to be able to make that kind of money, even after I paid for the traffic. Was pretty significant, but overnight it was gone. Poof. So I had to come up with a new game plan, a new hustle.
Right. And tell me, what was the reasons why? Like, why did Google shut you down?
Direct linking is what it's called. It just means I'm promoting somebody else's product. You have a product. I'm your affiliate. You give me a link that tracks the people that I send you. That's how I get paid when they purchase, right? I don't put anything in between that. I just send people straight to my link from the ad to your site. So what happened, Google said, all of these websites are not up to our policy. They're against our policy. Fix them and we'll give you your account back. But because I didn't own them, I couldn't fix them. So I got caught in a rock and a hard place. And I couldn't get my account back.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Right. So, all right. Now I know that you heavy with the YouTube ad campaigns that you're doing that for. I know probably like for some major people, some major clients that you have. But what was the transition from going from Google AdWords and then learning to go over to the YouTube?
I mean, Google owns YouTube, right? So the way you run YouTube ads is still through a Google Ads account. Right. So the transition for me was fairly easy. I think it was just the timing was the difference. And the only thing I attributed to was just trying to foresee the future. I always been this dude that was like trying to figure out what stuff going and try to catch the wave on the way there. And in my previous life, just coming up in the game, coming from all the way, being from Mississippi and, moving to Atlanta in 2000. And I've always tried to figure out how to get ahead of the curve. But a lot of times I was too ahead of the curve on stuff, and by the time, for me to make it work, I was too far ahead before I could get it, for it was need to be where I could really benefit, So with the YouTube thing, I wasn't looking to break through. I was just looking at where this thing is going. And one night I remember just looking and I'm like, looking around and I'm like, I think I ran across this article somehow. And it was like, TV will be on the internet. And I sat back and was like, damn, that's crazy, And I was just like, find the lie. You know what I'm saying? You know how they do with the memes now, facts, Right. That's facts. Like, I believe it. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's probably true. And I just, for weeks on weeks, man, was just like, well, what the hell does that mean for me, in terms of what I'm doing now in the industry that I'm in digital advertising, expected to be the biggest thing, in the future, because at the time TV advertising was still the biggest thing. But they were saying like digital advertising is gonna So I'm like, okay, if that's what digital advertising gonna do, and then TV gonna be on the internet, then all of the money, that's where the TV money gonna go. So I said, man, let me figure this YouTube thing out. I ain't gonna probably make no money, but I'm gonna start dabbling with it. That way, when the time is right, I'll already be in position and have some idea about what's going on, when the time is right. And that was 2012, and that's just kind of how I approached it. And at the time, it was very much like Google Display Network. Well, it's called Google Display Network now. Back then it was content, but it was very much the same thing I was doing, except with videos. The platform was the same, the way you run it, the algorithm. After I got to playing with it, I noticed I was like, this is pretty much the same thing I'm already doing. We're just using videos instead. You know what I'm saying? Then I had to figure the transition out of how to really leverage the video piece, because with a display banner ad driving them to a landing page, you gotta, it's different things that you might have to do. But if somebody already consuming a video and you take them to a video, there's a lot of different things you can do with that to really take advantage of somebody is already in the consumption of videos. And so that was like the only real piece that was different, but everything else is very much the same in terms of how you set the campaigns up, optimizing them. After playing with it, I've realized it's the same stuff I'm doing. It's just we're using videos instead of banners and text ads on, and all of this kind of stuff. And it just started working. It just started working. After a while, I started getting into work. Probably like 2013, I started getting into work in a major way. I spent my first $100K in a month on YouTube in 2013, actually. So it was going crazy. Yeah.
Wow. And like the whole 100K, like when you say you spent 100K in a month, was that like on your own, or was it still like an affiliate?
No, I was by the end, so I probably just skipped a whole bunch of stuff in the story, right? So after the affiliate thing went down, I was in a rock and a hard place trying to figure out my next move. And to be frank with you, I lost everything after that. I lost my house got foreclosed, all my cars got repossessed, had to sell all the jewelry because I had a watch collection. It was crazy. Like I was doing all of the stuff that we do, we know this now, 50 grand a month. Okay, for a lot of people, that is a lot of money, but like when you really put it in the context, you buying cars and rims and houses and jewelry and clothes and $200, $300 dinners and $200-$300 bottles of wine, like that ain't no bread. Right. You ain't really balling. You can't keep up with them. You know what I mean? You think you're doing something, but you ain't. Right. And so I'm making this money and I'm living check to check, really, still.
Yeah, man.
Because I wasn't in the, I wasn't, and when that went down, that caught up with me really fast. So, that year 2010, man, my house got foreclosed. All the cars, two of my cars got repossessed. All the jewelry we had bought, all of the watch collection I had to sell off. I had an 8-carat diamond bracelet with I'm talking about with the, I had that thing appraised on the insurance thing. That mug had the wow, just blinding you and all of that. You know what I mean? I was, you know what I'm saying? You really ain't making the kind of money to be doing that. But my background being in a pawn shop, I used to be a manager at a pawn shop, this company called Cash America. So I learned a lot about jewelry. So I wasn't paying full price for a lot of that stuff, but I was still spending a lot of money on, on it. I just, that bracelet, I think it appraised for like 25 or 26,000. And I think I might have paid like $3,000 for it. I ended up selling it for more than I paid for it, but it was just like that kind of stuff, man. That was just reckless, and it caught up. And so I needed something to do. I needed to make a move, and I didn't want to go back to working for the man. So my boy called me up, one of my buddies, good friends, John Sugar, and was like, yo, I got these dudes that want somebody to run their ads. And I figured you really good at it. Do you want to talk to them? And I'm like, why would I run their ads? Like, what was the point of me? And he was like, man, that's, they'll pay you. And I was like, oh, they paying money? He was like, dude, it's like having an agency. You know, I ain't know what an agency was. Straight up, I didn't. It's like, well, you can have an advertising agency. People will give you their money to spend, and if you can spend their money better than them, you can charge them. And I was like, they paying money, sign me up. I'm with it. You know what I mean? That's how I got into the agency game. So by the time I'm doing 2013, I'm spending clients' money on that. But I had got into the agency game probably like late 2010. And then 2011, I went and actually worked for another agency for about a year, learning the ropes of, you know, how to run that type of business. Then I ended up went back out on my own or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that 2013, that was client money. But that's kind of connect the gap between the affiliate and that and how I got into the client game. That's pretty much how I got in the game. Had these skills and didn't know what to do with it. And somebody else was like, you should do, you know, this, you know, and it's like, oh, if they paying money, I'm with it. Because at first I couldn't understand, why am I going to run their ads? That don't make sense to me. But once he started telling me how I got paid from it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm with that, you know, and that's what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. And you know, Tommie, that's powerful, man. You know, I always say too, man, when it comes down to people that start their own business, that it's good that, like you say, you got the experience from working with another agency.
Yes.
And learning all those type of skills. And then now you in that same position where you teaching, you hiring other people now doing the same things. But yeah, it's just like that revolving thing. Like, it's always good to really learn from someone else, you know, and start your own.
Absolutely.
And I know what you, Tommie, so you don't work with any startups pretty much. You work with businesses already doing in the multiple six figures and above and looking to scale when it comes to YouTube advertising, right?
It depends on how you define startup, right? Because there are well-funded startups that
that's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's true.
I think the key for me is, do they have the budget for the creative and the advertising and the data and everything like that? Because my money is made on scale. It's not made on you know, that's just like the upside. I want the upside. And in order to get the upside, I need you to spend more. In order for you to spend more, you have to be in position to scale, and you have to have resources and everything to be able to do that. And there's a lot packed into that. It's not just about, you know, spend a lot of money. Like sometimes people have capacity issues that it's not that they can't scale and spend the money and make it work. It's just that they can't fulfill their obligations at that level, you know? So it's a lot of kind of pieces to it. But, you know, a lot of times these well-funded startups, they have money to invest in these things of, okay, I don't have the capacity to fulfill this, but if you send me these customers, we got enough capital to go hire people or do whatever we got to do to figure out how to fulfill it, you know, that kind of thing. So I would, you know, typically I don't, you know, not really, but if they if they have enough funding and a good mindset around what they're doing, and I like the idea of what they're doing, and I feel good about, you know, the circumstances and all the kind of pieces that go together, I wouldn't write it off. But typically, yeah, our clients currently are already 7 figures. You know, they already doing 7 figures. They probably spending at least 50 grand a month on Facebook ads, and they want to diversify, or they already spending, you know, 20, 30, $40,000 a month on YouTube ads, and they just ain't getting the results that they want, you know. And so that's basically the two types of people that we have the most, that's most ideal. Because if you're spending 50 grand a month on Facebook ads, something working, especially if you've been doing it for a year or two, you know, or whatever. Yeah. So your offer probably dialed in. You probably got customer service and fulfillment and, you know, all of these kind of other pieces kind of worked out. And so that usually gives me a good indication of the other parts of their business, if they can sustain that type of spend for a while, where somebody like me come in and say, all right, I'm going to do this and your ad's going to blow up, and then we're going to spend $200,000 a month or $100,000 or whatever the number is. And then your business fall apart. Because I've seen that happen before as well, where you know, I've seen that destroy businesses, like scaling too hard, too fast because the money is so good. And then the business actually fall apart because they don't have the infrastructure to really support it, right? Yeah, you know, so So those are things that I look for too.
Gotcha.
Awesome,
Gotcha.
awesome. Well, all right. So, Tommie, like that's great. So, what I want to get on, like I was hitting on a lot of people that, because we have a lot of small business owners that may not have maybe the type of investments, or that hasn't put the amount of time into the ads and everything. So, I'm gonna go kind of like from like the beginner stage. All right. So like, what are like some of the like what's the type of YouTube ads that people on that like for small businesses or can run? Like, what can they start off with?
I think for most people, they overthink it. I think a lot of people are scared to be on the video. I think that's a big challenge that I see a lot of people doing. If you ain't scared to be on video, you can pull your phone out, make an ad. You know, a lot of people think that they got to spend this much money, that much money. The message is the key thing. Can you communicate your message effectively? If you can't do that, no amount of nothing is gonna fix that. No, ain't nothing I can tell you that's gonna fix that. So in order to do that, you got to talk to your customers. If you ain't doing that, if your business is getting off of the ground, you got a whole lot of other problems than YouTube ads. But if you have a business that's selling something, regardless of what level you are, if you selling something, something's working. So you just got to be able to do a good job of communicating the message around what it is that you do, to then get those people to engage, and move, take that next step to contact you or click to go to your website or whatever the case may be. But it all starts with the message. So if you're not scared to get on camera, you pull your phone out. If you don't want to be on camera, there's ways to do those as well. There's animated videos, there's kinetic typography, there's spokespeople. There's a lot of different variations to getting a video done that don't require you to be in it. You just need to have a little more grit in terms of the process of getting that to happen versus somebody who's willing to get on camera. They just pull their phone out, record the video, upload that joint, and test it with the ads and see what the message hit for. Because that's really what they boil down to at the end of the day. You can get as fancy as you want to get, but it's really about the message. And until you get a message that hit, all of the other fancy stuff ain't really gonna matter. Can you say the right thing to the right person and put that in front of the right person? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's key, man. Messaging. And like you said, even if you don't want to get in the front of the camera, is this like a platform that you can find a spokesperson? Like, is it like, how would you find spokespersons and people like that?
Man, it's all kind of the number one that jump off is Fiverr. That's gonna be the easiest one. And there's a lot of variations of different videos you can do on Fiverr. I think the thing that the weak link of Fiverr is the scripting. That's why I say, like, the message is everything. Whether you put the camera on yourself or whether you want somebody else to be on the camera, you as a business owner should know what you're supposed to say to your prospect. You're supposed to know that. Yeah. So your job is to make sure that that message get conveyed, whether you make the video or whether somebody else make the video. So I don't recommend you going in, because a lot of them services on there say, we'll write your script and voice it and do all of this stuff for you, but they can't talk about your business the way that you can talk about your business. I'll never give anybody the opportunity to control the message of my business. And I don't recommend no other business do that. And I know we wear a lot of hats in these businesses, because don't get it twisted. I'm an entrepreneur too. I have a company. I got employees and all of that too, but I wear a lot of hats too. And I've been there before. But there's certain aspects of your business that if you don't got a handle on, you're gonna struggle. And messaging is one of them. And sales is the other one. Messaging is to get people to pay attention. And then once you got them paid attention, sales is how you get them to convert. And if you ain't converting, you ain't making no money. If you ain't making no money, you really ain't in business. You know what I mean? So yeah. So if you getting your business off the ground, whether you like it or not, you're gonna have to know messaging and you're gonna have to know sales. Period.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
So talk a little bit about targeting when it comes to YouTube ads. I mean, like in terms of, I know you have to do like the proper keyword research. Is there anything you can share in reference to any strategies that may assist someone in terms of doing like the proper keyword research in terms of targeting for that specific ad, or even any other targeting strategies, even outside of that?
I recommend if you getting traffic already, your best thing to do first is remarketing. See if you can make a message to put in front of traffic that already been to your website. Because if you can't make your remarketing convert, there's a very high chance that whatever else you do ain't gonna work either. So that's a really good barometer, I think, for a lot of people who, and to be frank, a lot of times people are, advertising on Facebook first before they trying to go and do a YouTube. I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, I think if you gung-ho and you love video, you should definitely go for YouTube. But, most of the time people are testing, they're advertising for the first time on Facebook. I would say that regardless of maybe they getting organic, or maybe they got social media or whatever. But if you getting traffic to your website, first thing I would do is try to get back in front of that traffic, see if I can convert them. Because if I can't convert them, you're probably gonna very likely throw money down the drain going after what I call cold prospects, or what we call top of funnel, unaware. People that are unaware, right? Because they got top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel, or some people call it awareness, consideration, conversion. There's a lot of different variations of it, right? But it's at the very, very top. These are people that are probably don't even know you exist, and you got to get their attention, versus someone who's already been to your website or considered what it is that you do. And then you got the people at the point they're ready to jump the fence. They just need you to say the right thing to get them over the hump. That's really that bottom of funnel or a conversion point where they're ready to convert, into your business. So I would start at middle of funnel if I have traffic already. That would be the best approach. But if you go try to go up higher up the awareness level, and you can't even convert at that level, very likely
throwing a lot of money.
Burning money.
Yeah. And can you talk about this? Because I know you break this down real well. You broke it down to me in the past before, but highlighting it for our audience in terms of talking about the importance of data. Because a lot of times, people hop into paid ads and they look at it as this major expense, so they're afraid of the investment, or they're spending money and they may not necessarily be recouping the return very quickly. You talk a little bit about the importance of driven data when it comes to ads.
Yeah, they drinking the Kool-Aid. Everybody drinking the Kool-Aid. They believe all of that, the advertising and product launches that they see that, you're gonna put $1 in and immediately you're gonna make it 300% return on your money. And typically it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? We know that. Typically it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is, right? It's a process. So I always, I'm big on data. I get humbled every day by data, because a lot of times I think I be knowing, and the data be like, nah, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Be giving me that look like, nah, you don't know, because the numbers say this, and you thought it was that. And I'm always gonna lean toward the data. But in essence, we just try to look at things in phases. Like if I had a budget, and the smaller the budget is, the harder it is to do this, because there's a thing called statistical significance. And if you're not getting statistically significant data, you might as well be making an emotional decision still, right? Because I don't like to make emotional decisions. I like to make data-driven ones. But if I don't have enough data, the more data that I have that's statistically significant, the more likely that I am on the data side. The further away I am from that, the more likely that I am on an emotional level, right? So pure emotion is no data. It's just like, this is what I feel I should do. Versus, some data is better than others. So you might have to find that balance for you in terms of, what your budget allow. But typically there's a process that we follow where it's an iterative process where you're going to take a segment of your budget you're going to test, you're going to get some information from that. Then you're going to try to identify areas that maybe you can try something different, or maybe this worked, or, you know, maybe this age group or this particular gender or this city or this zip code or this. There's a lot of different ways you can really go into the rabbit hole of the data, right? But even with a small subset of it, sometimes you can find something that stands out that you can say, all right, as a whole, this didn't necessarily work, but this little piece did. Let me go at phase 2 and let me double down on this piece. And then you can iterate your way through that by looking for opportunities in the data where you can put more effort and energy. And in essence, what we're doing is do more of what's working and less of what not. And over time, you get to a point, and then you kind of get this, it's kind of like a catalyst moment where it just kind of just do that number right there. You know, but a lot of times it's just like, you're just like just beating, and you just slowly, and then all of a sudden you kind of get, but that's really what the process is. And a lot of times people struggle with trusting that process. But that's the hard part about data-driven decision-making, because most people have never had to do that. So it's something new for them. And it's hard to, old habits, you know, it's hard to break, you know, and new habits are hard to create, you know, and that's kind of what it ended up being.
Right. And now, Tommie, I want to, like, while we're hitting on data, right? Now, what, in your experience, like, what type of ads, like, as in stream, like discovery ads, like, which ones produce, like, the best results, in your opinion?
I think that's subjective. You know what I mean? I think if you have an environment where you have confidence in your ability to move people to where you want them to go, in-stream is going to be your best friend, because you get them to your website, you can remarket them across other platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and, you know, that kind of thing. You know, you can get certain data points that you can't get with them in that environment. So when you talk about discovery ads, these are the ones that, you know, when you're watching a YouTube video and you see the recommended videos down the right-hand side of the page, and that ad is sometimes them ads that sit up there, those are called discovery. In-stream are the ones that you about to watch a cat video and you gotta wait 5 seconds to skip it, right? Or whatever kind of, you know, stupid, dumb videos that you know. Although I consume a lot of YouTube content, so these days it ain't a lot of stupid content on there like it used to be back in the day. A lot of times it was just riff-raff, but nowadays it's I consume a lot of YouTube content. But I digress on that. But the in-stream are the ones that kind of interrupt your ability to watch a video because it plays in the stream, right? So that's what he's talking about, in-stream. And then discovery, you're watching a video, but it's like the ad sits up there, kind of like a little banner ad, if you will, up in the right corner. So when you click a discovery ad, though, it takes you to the video. So it keeps you in the YouTube ecosystem, those types of ads. In-stream ads, when you click them, it take them off of YouTube to your website. So if you have, it's a couple parts to it, right? It's, you know, you may not have confidence in your ability to move people the way you want them to go. But I think discovery ads for me are more content. They're longer term. They're longer term plays versus in-stream. Because of the algorithm, I can tell Google, give me, you know, I want to pay $5 for a lead. Here go whatever their daily budget is. Go find me these people. And the algorithm will go try to find you the right people to put your ad in front of. With discovery ads, you don't have the algorithm target CPA is what it's called. You don't really have that. So you really kind of have to be more about putting your ad in front of the right people, because you want to seed an audience, if you will, of people who consume your content. And you're not interrupting them. They are making a conscious decision. So they're making a micro commitment in their mind when they click your discovery ad. So there is a value in that, but it might not be an immediate conversion from that versus, you know, an in-stream ad. you got the algorithm kind of working in your favor, saying,
Right.
I think these people will take this action that you want, and then they'll go try to find them for you. You don't got that as much on discovery. So it's a bit of, it's all subjective. It just kind of depends on, you know, your skill set and your mind frame as well. Cause some people understand that long game. So they'll spend $500 a month just letting discovery ads run because they understand the long-term effect of that. Maybe getting those people to subscribe, getting them in an audience that I can hit them with an ad again with, whatever the case may be, and at some point down the line I can convert them. So it all depends on your strategy or your mindset around why you even advertising in the first place. But if you need to get $1, the quickest way to get money out is going to be in stream. Now,
okay,
that wasn't always true. It's true now, but in 2013, 2014, I spent my first million on YouTube in 2014. I was running probably 90%. They call them in display, which is called discovery ads now. It's probably 90% of that. I pioneered this strategy that a lot of people borrowed. I actually ended up teaching it, so that's probably why a lot of people picked it up. But basically, we would take a VSL, video sales letter, and this is the time when those were very popular. You know, they 20, 30, 40 minutes long. With this one guy, his was like an hour. I had another dude had one like 40 minutes long. We take the whole thing, upload it to YouTube, and then we buy the discovery ad so that when people click it, they sit there and they'll sit there and watch a 40-minute VSL or 1 hour VSL. And then we link them to an order page to purchase. And that worked, man, that worked. I launched several companies in the 7 figures with that strategy. Like that strategy went bananas. That strategy went hard. It still worked to this day to some degree, but the algorithm, I'm a big algorithm believer. So I want Google to go find, I'm gonna let them go do the work. So I like in-stream because the algorithm do a lot more to work for you. If you got a strong message and a good offer, a lot of the time the algorithm will go find the right people for you. After you get enough data, the algorithm will kind of take over. So I don't have to do as much, you know, with that. But yeah, that's basically in-stream versus discovery. And you know, now we probably run 80% in-stream versus discovery now because of that algorithm. So just a big difference. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all of the data points that they got on you, they pretty much know that you're going to convert on this, and they know how to get the right messages in front of you. It's crazy. It worked like crazy. So
okay. So let me get a better understanding. I'm trying to revert back. So like the in-stream is they have the algorithm where they can find your target audience, and then like the discovery ads is you already have that, like that's already your audience that they put in the ad in front of. That's kind of like what it is?
You still got to do targeting, both of them.
Okay.
With in-stream, you can get away with your targeting not being the best at a certain level. Like in the beginning, like anything, when you first starting out, you really, the more dialed in you are of what you saying, who you saying it to, and what you selling them, right? Because that's really the 3 things that it boil down to. Those things, you're going to have to really be dialed into that because the algorithm don't know. So whatever you can't get it to work for you until it see enough conversions to know what it is that you want. You know, 50 conversions, 100 conversions, 200, 500, 1,000. You get into 1,000 conversions, and then it becomes a velocity thing as well, right? So if I go from 1,000 conversions a month to a week to a day, if let's say I'm doing lead gen webinar funnel, which is something we run actually, right? And I'm paying $5 a lead, you know, and we spending $5,000 a day. I got campaigns where I don't got to put no targeting in there. I just plug the ads in, click the point to the page that I wanted to go, and just let the campaign, no targeting on it, and just let the algorithm go find them, and it go crazy. Which is, a lot of people is like, oh my God, you know, but the average person can't do that. So that just speaks to the power of it. But initially, you gotta still target. You still gotta know who you want to get in front of, what you saying, what you selling them, and really be dialed in on that, because early on, the algorithm don't know that. So it doesn't really matter which one you use. You still got to do that. Just typically, the algorithm is going to be more likely to play in your favor with in-stream versus with discovery. You still got to do the targeting, but you have to understand that it's a longer play for that type of ad to get a conversion versus in-stream. You're much sooner in getting people to convert. But if you're on some branding type stuff, you know, display discovery is what it's called. Ads can be major in that way. There's one company that I helped launch, Organifi. I mean, we bought over 1 billion impressions with discovery ads, which was huge for their brand, increasing their searches on Google, increasing their searches on Amazon. But again, that's a different type of play that, you know, some people may not can afford. But you still got to be, when you starting out, you got to be very dialed in about who you want your ad to get in front of. And that can be from, you know, if you're not doing remarketing, then the next one is going to be, you know, well, there's also some similar audiences that we use. But again, it's lookalikes, right? Now with Google, you can't upload a list like you can on Facebook. Right. You have to, it automatically creates these what's called similar audiences. So you have to have an audience for it to create a similar. Right. But keyword is still big. Placements is still big. That just means I can go and find a bunch of very specific videos and show my ad in front of those, or I can run my ad on a specific channel. I can say, anybody watching videos on this particular channel, I want to show ads to these people. Or you can go and find particular videos that you want to show your ads to. Those are called placements. Those still work pretty good. They don't scale very well. So for somebody like me, we don't run a heavy amount of those. But if I'm working with a smaller budget, let's say $100, $200 a day or something like that, you know, placements probably could be your friend in that regard, because you can really get very specific about who you want to see your ad. And that's really what you got to do when you starting out. Because the algorithm don't got no data. It don't know who you are. It don't know where the algorithm knows what you want based on what your pixel tell it a conversion is to you. So if I want somebody to register for my webinar, I put my conversion pixel on the page after they register. Once I get enough of those, the algorithm's like, oh, you want these type of people. Exactly. Then it go and do its thing and go figure out how to find more people like that. But until it got that, you don't have that to your disposal. So you really gotta be dialed in on what type of content they're consuming. Well, that's what keywords do. And then placements is just like a specific video that they're watching on a particular topic. You can go find a bunch of those and advertise against those. Or if there's a particular channel that has a theme that's, you know, that serves an audience of people like the ones you want to attract, you can target that specific channel and you can really dial in on who you want to put your ad in front of. So you got to do that no matter what type of ad you run. When you starting out, you're going to have to know who you need to be in front of. You're going to have to do that research.
All right. All right. And then I just want to hit on this too. So like when you talking about with the placements, and so it's important that you already have some type of brand that's already formulated, or you have some type of, you know, channel that's already going. Is that true about?
Nah.
Okay.
I mean, again, it's subjective, you know, but it's not a requirement. I mean, you can create. Matter of fact, one of the things that we do with a lot of our clients, we separate the organic and the advertising. So we'll have a completely separate channel that's only designed where we upload all of our videos for the running our ads. Because one of the things that I've seen is the organic, the you know, side of the equation be affected by the advertising. What happens is what I learned from Google, and I don't know if they're going to fix this, or maybe they fixed it because I don't see it as much lately. So I think it's something they may be working on. But in essence, watch time is a very key factor with YouTube organic recommendation engine algorithm in terms of I upload a video on YouTube and put the tags in and all that kind of stuff, and YouTube surfaces my video for me, right? That's called the organic side of the table. That's something you can do that doesn't cost you anything per se. I mean, you still got to spend time and energy making the video, editing it, uploading it, all of that, but you ain't got to actually put no advertising dollars to get those views, right? So what happens is watch time, how long people watch your video matters in that part of it. And I'm not by any means, I'm not the organic YouTube dude. So please don't nobody holler at me about that because I straight buy ad. But I had to learn this. I had to learn this part of it because I was trying to understand why I was having this problem. Apparently what happens is the watch time, a lot of times with our videos for our ads, the watch time is not very high. So then with the rest of your organic videos might have a 4, 5, 6, 7 minute watch time. The video ad might have a 30, 40 second average watch time. Net, they count those views in there, whether they're public or unlisted, which is what we use. A lot of our ads are set to unlisted videos. So we don't publish them facing, where anybody can go and find them. They just unlisted and they only can see them if you see the ad, right? So but those views still count against your channel. So what happens is when you start buying a lot of views and your watch time is very low compared to the rest of your videos organically, it drags the overall watch time down on your channel, which then negatively impacts your ability for the algorithm to surface your content. So we saw that multiple times. So now we separate strategically. If you focused on producing content, you got a presence on YouTube, you need to keep that separate. And then we got another channel we have just for the ads. And then we upload all of our videos that we run in our ads to the ads only channel so that it doesn't affect that. So that's pretty much why I think the question you had, remind me, was because I went down a rabbit hole just did. So you and I brought up the separation, but why did I get to the separation?
Well, because I was talking about with the placement ads, so I thought maybe they had something to do with, how they targeted when it come down to your branding. Like if you already had some type of brand or you already had an audience or whatever, whatnot.
Nah, you don't need no brand, no audience, no nothing to start advertising, man. You just upload videos and start advertising like that. That's why I brought up the separate channel, because them channels don't got no videos on them. They just there for us to upload videos and run ads with, But a lot of times they do have a presence on there. But that way, when somebody go search for you, they still will find your YouTube channel and still consume your content, but it's on that organic side. And so that's really helpful on the organic side if somebody see your ad and then go on YouTube and search for you. Because the chances are they're going to probably consume a good bit of your content, which then going to play into your favor. And then they still going to end up in your funnel too. So that's kind of what we focus on too. I call it the spillover effect. When you advertising at scale, you want to have your channel in play. You want to make sure your SEO is good, which I'm not an SEO dude, but you want to make sure, because people will go to Google and search for you. If you selling physical products, e-commerce, and you running on Amazon, you want to make sure that when people search your brand, you pop up for that, because people ain't going to always buy for you. They'll go to Amazon and see if you on there. And if you ain't on there, some of them won't buy for you. But what happens is with the spillover and then your social media, right? So anything that people go and do outside of your ad to try to see who you are and check up on you or whatever the case may be, ultimately what we trying to do is get them back in our funnel. So we still trying to point all our social media, our website on the SEO side, our YouTube channel, all of our other socials, Amazon, anywhere else that we still trying to get them people back down to our funnel to buy from us, whether it be through our Shopify store or, cycling them all back into the same webinar funnel or whatever it is, right? Ultimately, you want that all to kind of spill back in. So you don't need to necessarily have a brand. It helps, but if you starting out, I wouldn't even be tripping about no brand, really. I'm more about, can I make some sales? And then once I get enough traction, then I need to go build all of that out. But initially, I wouldn't. I think you're just spinning your wheels trying to worry about all of that, when all you got to do is you can create a channel right now and pull out your phone, shoot a video and upload it in less than 10 minutes or less. That literally could happen. You know what I'm saying? Versus, let me make sure my brand, you know what I mean? You're never gonna get going. So you don't need that at all. And I recommend you don't even worry about that at first when you ain't really spending. You know what I mean? You need to get all of that. You need to get something going first before you worry about kind of putting all of them pieces together or whatever the case may be. It's like building, it's like go and, get it and then build as you go type of thing, versus paralysis by analysis and, finding ways to never get off the ground, which is what a lot of times I see happen,
Right, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So, all right. So I do want to ask you this: what's the difference between like PPC, like pay per click, and like CPM? You said something about CPA or cost per mile,
cost per acquisition,
cost per acquisition.
Right.
It's all of them the same thing, man. All ad platforms sell on a CPM basis. You can just measure it different ways. So people say PPC, that's pay per click. You're not technically paying per click. You're paying a CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. That is their business model. And I'm saying this because I need people to understand this. Until you know what matters to them, you can't take advantage of it. And the reality for me is, the reason I've been in the game so long is I study them to understand what matters to their business, so that then I can say, okay, now I know what it makes sense for your business. How can I take advantage of that? How can I exploit that? And so what a lot of times, with PPC and all of these terms or whatever, people get caught up in, but the reality is they sell on a CPM basis. But you can look at it on what does it cost me per click? What does it cost me per acquisition? And honestly, like CPA, you should have your own version of that metric anyway. Because if you don't know what you can pay to acquire a customer, you probably won't be in business very long.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You're spending money and don't know what the customer is worth and what you can pay for it. I mean, businesses that are not growing are dying. Businesses that are spending more money than they're making are burning cash. And if you ain't got no investors or something like that, guess what's going to happen? If you burning cash, eventually you're going to burn out. You know what I mean? So you should have a CPA so that you understand what it costs to acquire. And then you can match that up with what's actually happening with this platform where I'm spending this money. But that's not necessarily what Google or Facebook or any of these ad platforms, they don't measure by that. They measure on a CPM basis. So I track CPM on every type of advertising that we buy. I also look at the CPM because I know that I can see different buckets of traffic. It's like, man, my CPM is double. I understand that even though it might cost me the same amount to acquire this particular bucket of traffic, for whatever reason, Google or Facebook thinks I should double what I'm charging you for this people over here. And I always find that fascinating because it gives me an insight into what they think about their inventory as it relates to me and my business. And I'm always trying to figure out how to exploit that. So, but yeah, I would say PPC, CPA, all of these different terms can be very confusing. But I know CPM is the key. And then it's money in, money out at its core level, right? At scale, it's a lot of different ways to look at that when you scaling, 7, 8 figures, level. But like ultimately it's money in, money out is the thing as a business owner that need to matter. You know what I mean? And you get caught up in all of that if you want to, but if you spent $100 or $1,000 and you ain't make nothing, something ain't right. versus
All right.
you spent $1,000 and made $2,000, $3,000. Okay, some, it might not be, you might not know exactly why that's happening, but at least you have an understanding that I'm making more money than I'm spending. That would be what I would focus on. I would look at my CPMs and then I would go from there. But I don't really know how to simplify that no better than what I did. It's probably still a bit confusing the way I'm explaining it, but
not actually, like you said, like it's all about the CPMs, Yeah. So I think there's no other way you can really put it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a few questions, Tommie. Let's talk about when creating the ads. How many variations a lot of times with YouTube ads? I know it's depending upon budgeting too, but how many variations of ads a lot of times should you be, testing out in the beginning phases of running your YouTube ads? You would say.
Yeah, I test a lot. So I think it's levels, it's layers to that, right? It's all depending on what level you on. Like I personally, I feel like if you're not testing, you shouldn't be advertising, because that's really the chances of you making one ad, one landing page, one campaign, and it worked out the gate is so low. Like, I'm not gonna hedge my bets on that. You know what I mean? That just it happens, but it's very rare. Not only is it very rare, if you want to scale, you will not scale with that. Like that's not scale. Scale is a lot of failure in that. The interesting thing about it, and I think it would scare a lot of people, is, we fail more than we succeed when you're scaling. But the reality is, think about this. Give me 10 shots. If I get 2 out of 10, bruh, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say I have a webinar and I want to pay $5 a conversion and I got $1,000 to test, right? Give me 10 shots at that. I bust that down to $100 a piece. 8 out of 10 campaigns can fail, but them 2 that work, I can double down on them. I lost 800, but now I got 2 campaigns that I'm making a, $200, $300, $500 a day on for the next month or 2 or however long it lasts.
Right.
But my downside was only $800. So most people look at it and say, but you lost 80%. Yeah, I know, but like the 20% that work is gonna far outweigh the 80%. But if you ain't even testing 10 times, you know what I mean? Because those percentages happen at, you know what I mean? Like you try 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times and it don't work. And it's like, this doesn't work. A lot of times people do it one time and they be like, this don't work. Or they do it a couple of times, like, it don't work. And it's like, if you ain't gave it at least 10 good shots, you can't even play the numbers. It's a numbers game. So, it's a lot of failure. So you have to kind of, I know it's hard because I struggle with it too, but it's like you kind of have to be willing to buy the data and lose, if you will, because, the losses that's why all of the learnings are in the losses. And then, once you hit something that win, sometimes no winners, man, could be a base hit. It could be a double, a triple. Sometimes it's a home run. Every now and then, you get one of those winners, boy, you hit a grand slam in that thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but you got to be able to go through the process. So, man, it's you got to test a lot. Personally, I like to test a lot. But again, I think I'm speaking from a scale mindset. But even if I had to start all over again right now, like knowing what I know now, starting over, I still would recommend you got to figure out a way to be able to test more than whatever you are doing. And if you ain't doing no testing, you probably shouldn't be advertising unless you test it and it work out the gate. More power to you. That's amazing. But, when that fizzle out, then what? You know what I mean? Because it don't fizzle out. So if you don't got no plan of, you got to be tested. So I test a lot of creative, man. But I would say the average person, you probably got a couple of angles in your messages that should appeal to your audience. That I would take a stab at that, especially if you're willing to get on camera. You can whip your phone out and make 3 or 4, 5 variations of it, and depending on what you're selling, it don't take a lot of money to test. Now, again, it's all about what you're selling now. Because if you're saying, well, I got a $3,000 program I sell over the phone, well, if you don't spend at least $3,000, how you know it don't work? If you selling something for $50, if you sell a $50 widget, I can spend $200 and know if it. Typically, I'm like 3x, 3 to 5 times whatever the sale price is that I'm willing to test to get the data. So if I'm selling a $50 widget, I could spend up to $250 to get a conversion because I could then iterate through that process. And a lot of people are like, but you made $50, you spent $250. Yeah, but it's, if I don't know if I even get to $250 per se, but I might get to $150, $200, and I'm looking at, how much it costs per click and, some of these other lower level metrics. But the price point gonna matter too. So, usually I'm looking at 3 to 5x what I'm selling to get an idea. So, so I would do that, and then, I would test a couple different versions of my message initially just to kind of see what might be working better or whatever the case may be. But I think if people struggle with that, but it's the nature of the beast. This thing is really, it's a real challenge to simplify it to the level where convince somebody that it's easy, because it ain't. That's just the God honest truth. You gotta go in with the mindset of, I want to grow and build something. If you just in it to hit a lick, go for that. You know what I mean? And it might work out for you. But if you in here to build something, you got to get your mindset in the right place of understanding the things that I need to do and invest in my business to build it into something. Because a lot of times you're investing in shit that ain't work. Excuse my French, but I don't know if
you good, sir.
I've been holding back. Boy, I'll be on here dropping them left and right. I'm not body all get out, but a lot of times people will be investing in stuff that don't work out for their business, but they scared to spend $500 on some ads. But you pay the coach $5,000 and you ain't getting nothing out of it. You know what I mean? It's like, that's mind blowing to me. You pay the coach $5,000 that didn't get you nothing, but you don't even want to spend $500 on no ads. I don't understand that, but I think ultimately, like you got to get to a point where you got to decide if you want to invest in your business and understand that there's a process to investing in your business. And that's where the testing mindset come in at, because I think that's another thing that people struggle with as well, with being willing to test different things to kind of find something that work, because a lot of times they're wanting it to work so bad, or even worse, desperate. Don't advertise if you're desperate. There's a lot of ways to make money that ain't advertising if you're desperate and you need to get some bread tomorrow. You probably should get a job if you just need money that bad. It ain't that bad to go work for somebody, and or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I test a lot, but I would say test as much as you can is what I would probably say.
All right. Awesome. Well, I only have a couple more questions. Then JC, you have any questions? My other one for you, Tommie, is what are some of the scaling strategies once you have your YouTube ads performing? What are some strategies in terms of scaling? Your advertising campaigns with YouTube. How should you look at scaling? What usually takes place with that?
Say that again. Now, what you said with the last.
When we already have some advertising campaigns working with like YouTube ads, what is like a little bit of the process in terms of scaling those YouTube ads to that next income level? Looking to bring in more revenue from no particular advertising campaigns. What are some of the strategies or the process you use to do that?
What level are we talking about? Because it's different. It's different layers to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, let's say I'm taking something from $500 a day to $2,000 a day or something like that. That's one thing. And then to go from 2-3 grand a day to 5 grand a day, 8 grand a day. And then there's another level when you're talking about $15,000-$20,000 a day. Like it's different things. And really at the largest level of scale, it's the littlest things. Because a 5% here, 5% there, 5% there can have a major impact on something, at that on that level. So at big scale, it's very little things. The bigger you scaling, the smaller the levers, the levers that you pulling, that matter. It could be as simple as, household income. You might go into your data and see, whatever I'm selling for whatever reason, these top income levels are the one that are converting the best for me versus the other ones. And I could literally, I've done this, lower 50%, exclude out of the campaign, and it doubled the results. That one little thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
$500 a day, probably not. $5,000 a day, that happened. Probably wouldn't matter that $500 a day. But at $5,000 a day, that one little thing doubled the results. You know what I mean? So very little things, but I think at $500 a day, $1,000 a day, or even $100 a day to $500 a day, because somebody else might think that's scaling. You know what I mean? You got to define scale too, right? Because my scale is, I want to spend. We trying right now to hit $100,000 a day. You know what I mean? Like that's what my head is. And I got one of my clients. One of our goals is to spend $1 million a month on YouTube. That's our goal. We have a goal. We got some work to do to get there. We on our way, but we got a lot of work to do to get there. But the goal is $1 million a month. So to other people, that might be like, holy crap. You know what I mean? So it all depends on on what you define scale as. But there are bigger things. The smaller your budget is really your message, your offer, and is the key thing. And then your targeting. The more you spend, the more options you have from a targeting standpoint, because the algorithm can work for you. But at the smaller budgets is really figuring out my message and my offer, which ain't even really the media buying and clicking buttons inside of Google and all of that. Really, it's like, what am I saying and what am I selling? You know what I'm saying? And then I can figure out getting it in front of the right people. Or you probably already getting in front of the right people and they just ain't converting, So there's usually a lot of challenges in, am I talking to the right people and I'm saying the wrong thing to get them to buy? Or am I saying the right thing to get them to buy and just talking to the wrong people? So a lot of time these are more macro level things that I'm more looking at as I'm building to make sure that, okay, I said this to these people and they liked it, but they didn't buy nothing. Well, let me see if I can get another group of people that like this, see if they buy something. If I go through that a couple of times, it's like, okay, that ain't working. That ain't helping me move the needle. So maybe we ain't saying the right thing to get them to buy. Let's fix our offer. Let's redo our offer and try it again. And if I go through the offer a couple of times, ain't moving the needle, it's like, okay, if the offer optimization isn't helping me spend more, then it's gonna be either the message or the offer, really. So that's really what we're doing. If I'm working it at $100, $200, $300 a day, and I'm trying to break it through, it's usually your offer. You need to optimize that, or you need to test a different message, or keep the same messages that working, put it in front of different audiences, and see if you can find more audiences that connect with that message. So it's like those types of things that I'm doing, and less, what I'm saying, boxes you checking inside of the algorithm, inside of the platform, rather. A lot of times that stuff ain't really the needle movers. I call it ninja button pushing, media buying, the ninja button pushers. Like, your days is limited if you just think you're a ninja button pusher, because the algorithm can put it in front of the right people. It's really what you say and what you selling, really. You know what I'm saying? These days is less, we're doing a lot less about clicking buttons and this, that, and the third, and more about what we're saying and what we're selling, you know, offer and message.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, because if you got the right message and the right offer, the algorithm will find the right people and put that together for you. So that's really kind of the area, you know, as we're building up, is kind of where I try to focus on. But as you get bigger up the scale, then it just be little things. It just really be the slightest, like some stuff be just so stupid how simple it is, how you can get results, you know, at big scale, but you got large subset of data, you got statistical significance to be able to say, you know, I think we probably had spent 50 grand on just the lower 50% audience of that particular campaign when I said, okay, we're not going to run that no more. I had $50,000 worth of data to be able to say, yeah, they don't convert as with the rest of these as good as these other people. So there's a lot of statistical significance in being able to say, oh yeah, let's just take that out. And then boom, our campaign double. You get what I'm saying? So it's a lot of levels to it, you know, that's, but I would say your message and your offer, if you don't get that right, you ain't gonna get to no 1,000, 2, 3 grand a day. You're not gonna get to that level without those two things. So
there it is, man. Appreciate you sharing that. Yep, the message and the offer. You say the clicking button days are over. Y'all had a message offer, something great to sell. Absolutely.
If that's what you selling, you know, if that's all you selling, if that's the only value you creating for your clients, I'm gonna eat your lunch in broad daylight. In broad daylight.
Right.
Awesome. So the last question I have, Tommie, that I'll be done with questions on my end, Jason. I just wanted to hit them real quick. Is the last question I had was, have you seen a spike in the traffic and the lead generation and the customer acquisition during the pandemic for your clients?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, resounding yes. Webinar funnels is off the chain.
I'm glad you just shared that one.
Physical products, e-commerce, you know, items that people need, or, you know, consumable products that what people use on a regular basis. I love consumables because it's like you buy it and you run out and you need to buy some more. You know, the customer value tends to be really high. So we kind of cheat in the consumables market, right? If I know that there's a quality product that people are going to buy more than one time, I can technically not even make no money the first time they buy, or even lose a little bit of money the first time they buy, because I know I'm going to make gravy train every time they buy in the future. It's just all gravy, right? So we get to kind of cheat, you know, in that space. But, you know, anything that people are normally like going out to get that they can easily get shipped to them, bananas. And then online education, because people stuck at home and having to reevaluate their career and the choices that they done made and how they gonna navigate this new normal and blah, blah, blah. So online education through the freaking roof. So, you know, obviously webinar funnels, most of the people doing the webinars are selling the courses or what have you. I mean, obviously, you know, the application model is as well, you know, if you're doing that model too. But I guess it just kind of depends on what you're selling over the phone that matters ultimately. If it's an educational play, you're probably in a good space. If it's, I guess it all depends, man. I guess it really just depends on what that is. But it's really about thinking about like where people at and how do they get what they need now, considering everything going on. And there's an opportunity in there for everyone, but that was the biggest thing. And I see, and I do a lot of e-com, but it's like digital products and physical products. So in the digital product e-commerce lane, that's really the online education, the courses and membership and all of that kind of stuff. And then the physical products, you know, people just are cool with, you know, buying something and getting it shipped now more than ever before. I mean, if you Shopify CEO Toby Lutka, I think it's pronounced Lutka. Man, if you get a chance, man, his videos don't got a lot of views on them. But if you really kind of want to understand like the ecosystem of e-commerce and kind of how people are. Like some of his most recent stuff that he been talking about, he dropping a lot of science about what's going on because they data is. I mean, they probably got more as an e-commerce company. The only one company got more data than them. That's Amazon. So Shopify number 2. So, and these are people, this is happening outside of Shopify. So the behavior is bananas, man. It's been going crazy, man. I got one of the clients I was working with that's probably going to become an investment here soon. Man, we were scaling so hard with them doing this thing going crazy. Like they ran out of inventory and, you know, with everything going on with the pandemic and stuff, it's been affecting their ability to get more inventory. And like literally, like we just like liquidated that joint because it just went stupid, man. It just went stupid. It just went stupid. Their revenue probably 5x from January to April. It just went bananas. You know what I mean? So, and I'm seeing that across a lot of other like e-commerce, you know, as well. It's just been, man, it's been off the chain. And you know, for me, thankfully, I work with a lot of these companies. So all my clients' numbers been doing this number right here, man. It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Well, Tommie, I'm gonna say this, man. I know everything's spiking up right now during this pandemic. We're hearing it a lot from people that's on the online space. But I always like to ask everyone is what type of obstacles that you probably face on, you know, running a digital marketing business.
Boy, we'll be on here all night. Yeah, how many? Hey, bro. Hey, man, running a company is not for the weak and the faint.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting because we've been growing in spite of everything going on. We've been growing, you know, pretty tremendously, but at the same time, like, I'm bald because I don't grow hair right here. Not because I just, I shave it all off, but it's really because this don't grow, you know. And I'm on my way to lose the sides and everything right now because, you know what I mean? Like, it's just been, it's a lot of challenges, man, with people and, managing people is really kind of like the biggest one of just, managing people, managing expectations, having clients and managing their expectations, and then having your team and managing their expectations, and then, keeping the balls in the air, and, sometimes have, people being people and things happening and personal issues. And it's a lot, it's a lot of different variations that I think you just have to be thick-skinned to some degree and surround yourself with people that, that go through it too. Because sometimes you can be on an island by yourself thinking, you're the only one going through that. Looking for me, I got people I can pick up and call and be like, man, this motherfucking shit, I'm goddamn, I'm going in and they ill because I just need somebody ill. You know what I mean? I'm stuck in the house. The kids is bored. They mad. They want to, you know what I mean? Or whatever. So it's all of those things that, kind of combine where, it's a lot of different things, man. But in spite of all of that, we've been doing, we've been growing. It's been strong on that side, but just navigating and managing that, it's been a challenge, man. It's probably going to continue to be a challenge because I'm trying to work my way out of my business is really where my focus is. I want to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be as hands-on as I am. I got to do that where I'm at right now, but I got to have the right people. And if y'all understand, you're going to cycle through until you get the right people on the bus. This book called Good to Great. It talks about getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. That's very much what it is. It's just like you going through the process, you letting people on the bus, and then every now and then it's like at the next stop, your ass got to hop off. You got to get off at the next stop. You got to get out of here. So that's kind of where the process I'm in now, where once I get all the right people on the bus, I'll be able to take my hands out of the day-to-day as much and be more focused on the growing of the business or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, it's a lot. I'm laughing, man, because I'm, I don't want to scare folks, but it's just like, if you an entrepreneur, you want to be an entrepreneur, you can't be no wimp in this game. Like you gotta be ready to get to work and put get with it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Cause that's basically, I like to say, what's your final advice? But that's the advice in all
Yeah,
that
it
work,
is.
right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely, Tommie, this has been an excellent conversation, man. I always get a bunch of value from you. I know we've had conversations offline. Me and Tommie also on this mastermind together and stuff. And, we appreciate you, man. I always appreciate your conversation, your wisdom. You never hold nothing back.
I don't know how.
Yeah, you always over deliver, man. It's definitely some great information, man. We definitely appreciate you. Appreciate you and your time.
Mm-hmm.
But so, man, I always say, I try to be what I wish I had. You know, I remember coming up, meeting people or, dealing with people or whatever. And I've gotten a lot of love from people, don't get it twisted, but a lot of times, man, like people try to take advantage of you. People will disclose things from you or whatever the case may be. And I've always been abundance mindset. I never understood why people would be that way if you truly have an abundant mindset. So me having an abundant mindset, I don't know how to hold back. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Yeah. Unless we get on here talking about like some super personal stuff, then yeah, I might give you some pushback on that. But this business stuff, this stuff that we in, we don't talk about. I feel like a lot of times we get sold into this entrepreneurship or start a marketing agency or, all of these different things. And all we talk about is the roses. Nobody talk about the stinky part of it. You know what I mean? The struggle, the fact that, and I tell my story a lot of times, I had heart failure in 2007. So, I had to overcome that, to be able to, so it's like these things, it's like the abundance mindset. And I just wished more people were like that. So I don't want to contribute to that, not being that. And so I try to, when it comes to this business stuff, I don't hold back because you never know who out there listening. They might hear a word or it might be one thing you will say, you know what I mean? That might be the thing that they need to hear. But you up here trying to hold back on, and it's like, that ain't really going to help nobody, man. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
And I'm playing a long game too. I play the long game too. So, my thing is like, I'm going to be here. So I'm a constant learner and student myself, and I'm doing it. So whatever I'm telling you today, when you talk next year, I'm probably going to be on some whole other. So why should I hold that back? Because I already know whatever we talking about now. Next year, when you talk to me, I ain't going to be talking about that.
Right.
I'm going to be on some other level. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to me, it's just leave some breadcrumbs for somebody. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That is. That's the way to look at it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, Tommie, if you can just share where everyone can find you at online, where we can find you. Everybody can find you.
Tommie Traffic. My name, Tommie with an I-E. Tommie Traffic at Tommie Traffic. TommieTraffic.com. I don't really do social crazy like that. But anything Tommie Traffic, you can find me. I probably do a little Facebook. I do a little IG every blue moon. My website gonna be the best, always the best, fastest way to reach me is gonna be my website. Because we monitor that. We get a lot of inbound there. And a lot of time people, Facebook messages or whatever the case may be. I don't got the app on my phone because I just found that was honestly, I took the app off my phone because I wanted to see how much more work, how much productive I could get. I ain't look back. So that ought to tell you right there. So a lot of times, my inbox be full of my other box. And I don't always have time to kind of go through it or whatever. So I always tell people they really want to get me. If you go to my website, you submit, I'm going to see that. Like even me, I'm going to see that. And I might not necessarily respond. I might have my assistant or whatever, but I lay my eyes on it because I don't like nothing to fall through the cracks like that. But if all of these other different ways, I mean, I'm trying to get my life right, man, and get out there and be sharing more often. It just, that ain't really my nature. So it's always been a struggle for me, to just be making videos and posting on social media and this, that, and the third. But I could probably help a lot more people if I did that. So I'm trying to convince myself right now that that's what I need to be doing. So hopefully I'll get there. You know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha, man. Good productivity tip too, man. Like you say, to lean that out. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that many times. Yeah. That's a huge boost of productivity. Yeah.
Man, I was spending like 2 hours, 3 hours a day on that thing.
Yeah.
A day?
Yeah.
4 hours sometime in a day.
Right.
I got to reclaim that. That's too much bread when you start doing your math of how much money you make. If you really look at your business, how much revenue your business make, and you start adding up, and you start looking at Facebook ain't worth this many hours when you do the math. It's like, nah, y'all ain't. I'm gonna go over here and run these ads, but I ain't finna just be hanging out like that. Nah, I can't do that. I'm giving too much money to them because it's really not because we the product. And I say that because I run ads. I run ads, you know. But we are the product. You know what I'm saying? So like, nah, bro, I can't give y'all that much bread. Like, I got to reclaim my time. You know, that's kind of what I did. But I was forced to evaluate that when I took it off because I was like, I really need to see how much productivity I'm losing, or I just need to see what difference it is. And so it was pretty much like I told my wife, like, I got to do the math before I get this app back on my phone. I got to come to you with this math, or you got to tell me I ain't supposed to do that. And before I could go back in and even say anything to her and it did the math, I ain't even have to tell her about it. I just realized from doing the math, wow. When you average in 3 hours a day, that's 20 hours a week. That's 27 times 3, that's 21 hours a week. I was averaging 3 hours a day. That's 20 hours a week. I get paid a lot of money per hour, so you can do the math. You know what I mean? Like, do your own math. Even if you only making $50 an hour, you think Facebook worth $1,000 a week?
No. No.
It ain't. So unless you on there selling, now some people be on there, they be posting and using it for marketing or whatever the case may be. You know, so I understand that, but I don't use it that way. So for me, it was just like I'm wasting time.
Right. Yeah.
I understand. Absolutely. Appreciate it all, Tommie. Definitely appreciate it all, brother.
For sure.
And we appreciate it, man. And definitely for our listeners and our audience today, I know you got a lot of value out of this. Definitely give us a 5-star rating on this podcast episode. Show my guy Tommie Traffic Powers and the Rise of 1%. Show us some love. You know, hit that like button, watching this on YouTube, dropping the comments below of your biggest takeaways. And besides that, as well with the Rise of the 1%, want more information on our Rise of the 1% Academy, but we also teach the different simplified marketing strategies to massively grow your business on the internet. Go to the riseofthe1%.com and feel free to share this podcast episode around as well as anyone else you feel could benefit. We'll see you next time. We appreciate you again, Tommie. Thank you, brother. Absolutely. We'll see y'all next time. Yes, sir. All right. Close it up.